Space, the almost final frontier. We embark on our penultimate voyage until finally, next week, it'll all come to an end. Our international, interstellar, intergalactic nightmare is almost over. Welcome to the Star Trek Picard Season 2 After Show. Talking about Episode 9. Ugh, hide and seek. I am Christian Bladt, and whatever rank Nikki Bailey and I were when we started this show, we need an extra one of those little dots on our turtleneck.
You need
because
seven new dots.
Yeah, that's true. I think honestly, I think we need 10 new dots for 10 episodes.
Yeah.
I think we have earned it. I think we deserve it. And I think everyone who has also stuck with this show, you deserve at the very least a pat on the back. I occasionally will encounter people who are enjoying it. I don't hate you. I just can't wrap my head around you. But honestly, legitimately, I'm envious of people who are able to enjoy this.
Me too. I haven't met any, but
no, I've only interacted with a really, I think, 2 people on social media who are just saying that they're really enjoying it. And I mean, good for them, as Christian Bale would say, good for you. Good for you. I'm happy for you. But I am not one of those people. I find this conversation, I love having an excuse to talk to Nikki every week. And don't worry, Nikki and I are going to keep talking about what I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to jinx what the other show is going to be. I just feel like, you know what? Change of scenery, change of cast, change of creative forces behind the scenes. Strange New Worlds will let you know at the end of this show when you can find our show, where we'll be covering that starting next week. And but we really have to finish this off. And it's like, I think we've got what they call senioritis, Nikki. We know that school's about to end, but we still have to show up. We have to be marked present. We have to,
we still have to keep going to class.
You have to actually go. You don't have to learn anything, but you have to sit there. Look, we've already gotten into college, but we can't have too many absences or we won't graduate, and then that'll mess up the rest of our lives.
We have to sit through the rest of this horrible lesson in how to do Star Trek wrong.
I don't know that there was ever an hour of school that was less pleasant than Star Trek Picard. I didn't know how good I had it when I was sitting in school as a lad.
The good old days of calculus and physics.
Oh my gosh. Chemistry, where you don't even actually get to touch any chemicals. You just theorize about them. Oh, please. So we're here to talk about episode 9 of season 2, Hide and Seek. I think that we always need to kind of start with this. Was there any single takeaway where you felt, okay, this moment, this maybe even a scene, I think you and Tom both disagreed with me, but last week there was a scene that I'm like, this wasn't so bad. Yes, it would have been better if it was Whoopi and John Delancey, but still having Q and Guinan interact, I was like, look, I got something out of it. And it's partially because I want to get something out of this show. I try very hard to get something good out of this show. Was there anything for you this week?
I can't think of anything. I've just been replaying it in my brain. Everything just made me ask questions. I watched this episode with my partner, and at some point she got frustrated with me because I kept making her pause because I would sigh really loudly. And so everything just left me with questions that have no answer. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to think.
Yeah, I don't know what to think. I think, in a vacuum, some of the scenes, like Girardi talking to the Borg Queen, like in the context of dialogue and performance, they're at least okay. I don't like the story, you know, and we'll definitely really delve into that. But you know, there are some moments of performance where you're like, it's okay, but I am so far off the Brent Spiner bandwagon right now. Like if
Oh,
they told me like we're sorry we put his voice in the trailer for season 3, he's actually not going to be in it, I'm going to be okay with it at this point because he, you know, you want to talk about doing disservice to your legacy. Brent Spiner has done that with Star Trek Picard.
he absolutely has. The beloved place that he held in my heart has been sullied. And this Sung guy, even Sung from the future, like our Noonien Sung,
Yeah.
like even he, you know, we didn't always love him. He wasn't always the right guy, but he was still Brent Spiner, and we loved Brent Spiner. This Sung is just evil, and for no good reason.
He might as well be wearing a black top hat with a twisty handlebar mustache, a little Raleigh fingers, and tying Raffi to a train track to see if Seven can ride a horse and save her in time. He is a very one-dimensional, one-note villain, and the only no, it's made worse by the fact that he clearly didn't blow up, and he will definitely be back next week. There's no doubt in my mind. He is not dead.
He's not dead.
And
We're gonna have another week of Adam Sung.
but we can only have one more week. 2 weeks from now, we're going to be talking about Captain Pike and Spock and number
Fine
one.
ass Captain Pike. I can't wait.
I do love Anson Mount, you know?
He is fine.
I mean,
And even if all he does is stand there and say space, the final frontier, for 10 episodes, I would be satisfied with that. That's how low the bar is set at this point.
he is the first Star Trek captain whose name is an invitation. Anson Mount. Just thought of that now. Gonna be tweeting that out a little bit later, but
that was really good.
I'm very proud of myself. I'm not gonna lie, very proud of myself. He was there was a very poorly received, and I'm not gonna lie, not great Marvel show called Inhumans, and he played a character named Black Bolt. Anson Mount did. And so the whole point of Black Bolt is he can't talk because even a whisper would like knock down a mountain. That's like what his power is. So he didn't talk in the whole show. And I was like, he's still the best thing on the show. He doesn't talk. He's still the best thing on the show. So I'm excited to be able to talk about that. I'm excited that Adam Sung will be gone from our lives. I can't imagine anybody resurrecting that character at any point. It's very interesting. I saw a tweet that it referenced a third show too, but from Jerry Conway, who was a Spider-Man writer in the 70s, and he created the Punisher. He killed Gwen Stacy. He killed Green Goblin. I mean, this is a guy with, you know, it's comic book royalty, I would say. He tweeted about the fact that there's very similar storylines running concurrently on this show and Moon Knight, dealing with mothers suffering from mental illness. This is not the first time we've seen it, and it's very stark in the comparison. It is incredibly moving and well done in Moon Knight, and it is like it's like a very bad caricature. And there are tweets that I saw from people who said if you're going to approach mental illness, you should really do better than this with it, dealing with it. You know, I mean, I think it's an important topic to cover and to address and to just deal with the impact it can have. And, you know, having this be Picard's backstory isn't the problem, but the execution, no pun intended for, I guess, what we found out that she did to herself. I feel as though that actress, maybe she's lovely in some other work, I don't find her performance to be convincing. I don't find her to be a strong character. Um, and I like seeing Baltar again, but Papa Picard's not great either. So
Yeah.
it's just more indication of the many levels on which the show has failed. It includes casting, and
Yeah.
I find it disappointing. And I on all the shows that we've done over the years, here on the Black House YouTube channel over in AfterBuzz, I've been very harsh on what I didn't like in the Star Trek universe, namely much of Voyager and Enterprise. But those shows have such a new appreciation in my heart right now
Oh, absolutely.
because
I might even
there's
watch Enterprise now.
watch that series finale. Frank and I, if you can find the hour, and really it's 42 minutes probably, to watch it next week to tie in with the season finale of Picard, it'll be a gift to Frank and I to be able to talk to you about it.
All right.
So,
I will make sure to watch it between now and then.
all right.
So
That
we can talk, we'll have something good to talk about.
yeah, at least that's got Scott Bakula in it. So, and I thought that just addressing, tidying up the backstory where we were left hanging, and the fact that she killed herself is, tragic for young Jean-Luc, but it's hard to be emotional about a scene like that because I dislike the show so much. And I found myself feeling bad that I just didn't care. I mean, I didn't laugh when I saw it. It wasn't like done that badly in that way, but it's just just dealing with something that's so important to his character. And look, we've known Jean-Luc for 35 years, and we didn't have a hint of this in his life, did we? I mean, we talked
We
about
had
that. Yeah.
remember that episode of Star Trek The Next Generation where he had tea with like a vision of his mother?
Oh, okay. Yes, I do remember that now that you mention it. Yeah.
So that's the only time I ever remember really anything about his mom, but I don't think we ever had any hint that there was that kind of trauma involved
Yeah.
in his life. Um and I agree with you. Like I found it really hard to care. Like I mental health issues are something that are it's really important to me, and I think it's so important that we talk about it in media and in our entertainment and in the shows that we're watching. But they didn't really do a good job at making clear what her mental illness was, or like all we saw, like she mentioned that she got sad sometimes,
Yeah.
and and the father mentioned that she hadn't had an episode lately. um but there was nothing there that made me think to myself, oh, this poor woman, or oh, this poor child. We didn't even get to know little Jean-Luc well enough for me to feel devastated on his behalf. So
Yeah.
if they were gonna reveal something so huge, they should have given us at least a little bit more time. If they were gonna do all these flashbacks all season, they should have given us time to care about this little boy.
Yeah, no, I agree. Dominicus Saxon chimes in. If viewers don't care about it, if a character dies, then the writers, directors failed in their job, in my honest opinion. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. That I wasn't really able to care about it. And also these revelations, the flashbacks can be instantaneous, but just conversationally speaking with fake Laris about, like, tell me more about it. I'm like, that like there's a guy who's trying to kill you, right?
Right.
Like,
We don't really have time for this right now.
yeah, we'll definitely talk. I promise. I'll open up, even though you're not Laris, but I'll still talk to you anyway. And yeah, I mean, so it's like the story itself, I felt like was not done well, But then the way it was inserted into the present day action, I was just like, there is not the time for this. It's like characters who make declarations of love on a battlefield. It's like, this is really not the time for it. And, you
Yeah.
know, Rios and Dr. Lady, I mean, I think that, he was like waiting. He was basically waiting for the transporter to reboot. He did Control Alt Delete, and he was able to. So it's like, all right, I guess we can hear it. It's like, all right, it's at 95%, and he's like, yeah, I gotta go. I'm like, okay, that at least works a little bit better. But I don't know. So, yeah, and that I think that was a pretty big problem in the episode. All the Jean-Luc stuff, the Seven and Raffi. I I think going into the season, or really at the end of last season, the idea of the two of them interacting together, this could have been a good couple. I mean, yes, on Discovery we have had a number of same-sex couples, but this being sort of an extension of TNG, I thought this was a good opportunity. And them having problems in the relationship, that's great, because all relationships are the same. You can make that point. But I hate the two of them together.
Yeah.
I don't like any scene with the two of them.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
They have no chemistry. There's nothing about their relationship that feels like a relationship. It feels like these two people who are, I don't know, it felt like I was so aware of their acting that I
Yeah.
couldn't even, that there was no way to be interested in the story.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. And Seven basically confronting the Borg Queen and getting injured. That's fine. That's not even a problem in the story. But then Girardi basically sweet talks the Borg Queen into becoming a new kind of Borg. And we'll talk about the ramifications of it. But just that as a story point, that's your way out of it. Is I know just a few seconds ago, I gleefully injured this creature that I hate, Seven, for getting away, basically. And now I'm going to heal her. And I don't know. I just it was way too big of a logic leap. I didn't get enough out of the Borg Queen in previous episodes that it's like Girardi being able to convince her might have been convincing to us if Girardi hadn't been so far in the back seat the last few episodes.
Absolutely.
If she'd been kind of chipping away in recent episodes, and the Borg Queen would have even like moments of hesitation. But I just didn't buy it at all. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, Nikki, but I'd be shocked if you were able to buy into that.
No, I didn't buy it. The whole idea that Girardi was gathering power based on love and
Yeah.
despair and and hurt for her friends, that she was building her power the same way the Borg Queen built her power off of endorphins or whatever the hell was supposed to be. It was all just, here's what's crazy. I have been able to buy into Star Trek so well over the years that I can actually say this, and I'm not being ironic or weird or whatever, but it was really far-fetched. This science fiction show that is science fiction and not remotely real had a moment that was far-fetched even for science fiction.
Yeah, even the idea that you can slingshot around the sun and go back in time. When you think of even the idea of a being like Q that exists, this is more far-fetched than any of it, than anything in
Absolutely.
Star Trek. I do remember, as we're talking about Seven, there was at least a moment that I liked because it was not someone that we saw, but she did talk about how she tried to get into Starfleet, and I liked the idea that Janeway went to bat for her and threatened to resign. I was just like, that sounds like Catherine Janeway to me. That she
Absolutely.
would actually, she has so much respect for Seven as having been an important part of her crew. So, but that's like that's an aside. Like in a comic book, that's like an asterisk, and then there's a little box underneath that explains a little aside something. It's like it's like just it's just conversation, but I was at least happy about that because it made me think of a scene that would have been better than anything in this show. Janeway marching into Starfleet
Right.
and saying like, "I'm gonna quit," but nothing approaching that there. And so we resolved that part of the storyline, which I think is the guarantee that the futuristic Borg creature that was unlike any Borg we'd seen before in a helmet in the first episode was clearly this Girardi Borg Queen hybrid.
Yeah.
And we'll have to figure that out, how that all gets resolved next week. I don't have faith that it'll make sense. I'm fairly confident it won't be satisfying, but we've at least addressed that. And I think that I've read there's concern for what this does to the timeline. This sort of has the Borg going through, basically getting started much earlier than they did in the old timeline. And according to Terry Metalis, who I follow on Twitter because I find the show so hard to comprehend, and I still appreciate his other work, but he basically, kind of, yeah, so here it is. I can share it. I can show it. I just had to make sure that I found it first. So it's just easier to show the question and answer here. So someone tweeted at him. So the Borg's timeline has been completely rewritten by the character who warned about butterflies, namely the Borg Queen. Even if you magically explain this away in the last episode, the characters were okay with it in the moment. And Terry Metalis says she did not undo the Borg timeline. And this is a week before that episode airs. So I'm like, how checked out are you that you're like explaining this stuff away? But I also feel like this is completely separate and that the Borg develop in the same way that they did in history. This doesn't create butterflies. Whatever this is the new and improved Borg 2.0, the Windows 97 of Borg, the kinder, gentler Borg, the Girardi Borg, which is obviously the cuckoo crazy Borg. So
how is it possible that it doesn't change the timeline?
Well, just because it's separate. I agree with you that I feel like that's what their explanation is that there's a reason why that Borg seems different that they saw in the first episode, because they've had a few hundred years of running around and being this, do you want to be saved? They're offering a chance for people to join this collective. They're not assimilating. They're helping people who are at the end of their rope, people that are about to die, because their ship is going to fly into a sun, any of that kind of stuff. I mean, that's the thinking that I'm getting.
Okay.
I'm not saying that I like it. I'm just saying that I can at least understand it, but we'll see if we get that. But I don't love it. I really don't love it. I'm not happy with it. I understand the point that was raised, the concern of what this does to the timeline. This being Star Trek, they know they have to explain it to us, but will they? We'll know a week from now, Nikki. You and I will be talking about it, and poor Frank will have to be dragged back in, but only one more time. That's all right. It'll be the last time. He got off the hook this week.
One more time. Time.
Back on this topic, Dominica Saxon made this point. Why did Seven get the exact same implants she had before? I didn't care for that. That's true. I would think she would have actually needed more implants than she had previously. Like the eye one actually does not make sense. That's the most identifiable.
A stomach one and a a stomach one of some kind.
Yeah,
She
right,
got
exactly, like, yeah,
stabbed in the stomach.
her
Yeah,
entire, like, stomach needs to be, Borg or machinery or something, so,
mortified.
yeah, and then they just go and fly off at the end, and everybody just kinda looks like, "Alright," and nobody seems to. I mean, I guess they don't need to travel. I guess that's the thinking, is they don't actually have to travel back to the future, to borrow a phrase from, oh boy, I don't really like Back to the Future 2. It's my least favorite. It's so much better than the show. It's
God.
so much better than the show. Time Cop is better than this show. You find me a time travel story, I bet it's better than this. There's going to be an exception, but nothing comes to mind.
Yeah,
Oh,
no.
I'd watch Time Cop all day. Little Jean-Claude Van Damme doing the splits on the counter. Great. I'm all in for it. But so I guess that's the thinking, is that if they actually prevent that alternate timeline, do they just revert back to the way things were? And, they wake up the same day that they, end up on that ship, and then they have to revert that. I mean, and Elnor should be alive, which we'll get to Elnor in a second. But do you think that that's what the thinking is that take the ship? If we fix this correctly, we don't need to go back to the future.
I think that probably is the thinking, but now Girardi Borg has the ship, and they are in France.
Yeah.
And the launch is happening the next day in Los Angeles or somewhere else. So they needed the ship just to get back to where the launch was happening.
Yeah. Agreed.
So
And it doesn't seem like Fake Laris's transporter can get them from France to Los Angeles.
or if it can, why did we not use that transporter before now?
I have an answer to that. Bad writing.
I mean, to get Picard from the getting hit by the car to the clinic, that would have been a perfect time to
Yep.
use that transporter.
I don't disagree. um Yeah, no, look, I don't disagree at all. Let's talk about Elnor, not Elnor, but I know enough that I can absolve Raffi of her sins and her guilt, and tidy up another plot line that no one cared about. I mean, I'm like, wait, what was he exactly? That he wasn't him, but he knew enough, that it- I, I, I I legitimately don't get it. And yes, I know I could have looked it up, but I wanted to just be in this moment of like, huh?
Here's what I think well, I don't know either. I sincerely don't understand it. But Girardi created a combat hologram,
Yep.
hologram
Yeah.
out of that looked like Elnor. Now, what we've seen is that the ship makes a hologram of of Rios over and over and over. But
Yeah.
now we find out that the ship can make a hologram of anybody who's been on the ship. But a hologram doesn't mean that you take over that person's personality necessarily, because all the other, like the doctor and the all the other
The other
holograms that
Rioses.
look like
Yeah.
Rios's had their own distinct personalities. They weren't based off Rios.
Yeah.
So it was just really it was just really weird that this hologram would have Elnor's memories. I don't understand it either. I don't.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm glad look, it's the reason why I'm still glad we do this show, because I'm glad it's not just me.
No.
I'm glad it's not just me talking about it. I'm glad it's not just me confused by it. But I do, at some point, I just throw my hands up. because I'm like, I don't care enough because they didn't care enough to make this show good. And that's the part that hurts.
It's painful. I literally started a text message to you earlier today that said, ugh, I can't do this. I don't wanna. Because because it's just it is painful.
Yeah,
It's painful. Like to take something that was I'm gonna not I'm gonna not reiterate what we've already said a million
sure.
times, but to take something so beloved and treat it so carelessly, I'm just I'm just stumped.
Yeah. Hey, Nikki, earlier this week, I had a cavity drilled, got some new fillings, and then they took out a couple of my old silver fillings and replaced them with newfangled fillings. That was more pleasant than watching this show. And it's a little bit for comedic effect, but really,
But really not.
I got to lay back and have my eyes closed. There's a little tingly from the Novocaine. It wasn't so bad. Maybe that's what, maybe I need Novocaine before this show. I mean, I don't know. I should have it at an appropriate time. I should watch it at an appropriate time where I could have a drink, you know?
I've tried it with weed. Doesn't help.
That's too
Um,
bad.
no.
Yeah. Um, I mean, look, we can just be glad that we're this close to it being over, but I hope that they learn that they shouldn't do this to us. But here we are, we're still watching, you know?
And that's because we love Star Trek so much
So much.
that that we're still watching this. That's the kind of love we have, and they're abusing us, and it's not right. It's
Yeah.
just not right.
It's not right. And we didn't even get any John Delancey in this episode, so we didn't even have like a scene where it's like, all right. So we not only didn't get the Q answers, we didn't get to see him at all, and yeah. And we're left now with this like, well, there needs to be two Renees, one who succeeds and one who fails. And it's like, wait, both timelines have to happen. And I'm like, there's obviously mystery in that statement, and that's how it ended. And it just goes right back to the fact that I'm like, okay, fine. Like, you just go ahead and tell that story. I'm gonna I will be numb like with the Novocaine while I watch it. You know. Um but yeah, there's a
You
lot of
know,
questions, and like, how are they gonna pack it into 50 minutes? That'll be the biggest insult, is if like the finale is like an hour and 7 minutes. I'll be like, why? Just you should have told the story better along the way so that you didn't have so much to fit into the finale.
you know what it feels like? It feels like it's being written by people who don't love science fiction but think
Yeah.
this is what science fiction is.
I agree. I agree. And I mean, it's like the familiar names don't give you that indication. I mean, you can say what you want. Like, I don't know how involved Alex Kurtzman is in any of this.
Right.
I know, I know Akiva Goldsman's track record, and I know Terry Matalas supervised the writing room for at least part of this season. And I'll my just justification is always how much I like the 12 Monkeys series, and I'm like, I was excited he was working on Picard. Now I'm just, how foolish I was, how naive. um, yeah. So, Nikki, what do we think we're gonna get next week?
And it's going to be over. That's going to be the highlight of the week, is going to be just that it's the last episode, and I don't even care what happens. I just want it to be done. Which is a terrible thing to say, but I really I don't care what happens. Like I don't look. They're gonna go. Oh, they're gonna stop them. They're gonna make sure that the mission happens, but they're gonna somehow it's gonna resolve itself the way it's supposed to, and Picard will be stuck in the past, or no, he'll wake up in the future as though none of this ever happened. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah. I mean, that's that. I think that that's the logic flaw of not having the La Serena anymore. The ship is just that fixing that, it's again, it's the timeline moment that, like, once you fix something, everything reverts back to the point where it diverged. That is a science fiction time travel theory. It is only one theory.
Right. Right.
It's most things stick to that. The most high profile was Avengers Endgame, which was just like, we are rewriting the rules on time travel. So in theory, that's what's going to happen. And I'm ready for the Patrick Duffy comes out of the shower moment that I've referenced multiple times this season. Look, I usually hate, oh, none of that happened at the end of something, because I feel like they've wasted my time. My time's already been wasted. The only vindication would be that none of it ever happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It would just be like, all right, that was I wasted like 10 hours on that show, but that's all right.
20 hours because we did a show about the show.
But see, this isn't a waste.
Right.
I'm glad we get to talk.
That's
And
true.
yeah, I agree that it's going to be something like that. And I think we're going to say goodbye to Q forever. I think that that's something that's going to happen. I really don't want any of these, other than Jean-Luc Picard. I don't want any of these characters in next season. I want it to be the gang back together in season 3. As many characters as they can fit in there. If they can get a cameo from Avery Brooks, so we can get Benjamin Sisko, if we can get Catherine Janeway. Honestly, you want to figure out a way to put Scott Bakula in there. I'm sure if the dollar amount is right, Shatner will be there. And,
yeah,
all of the surviving captains I would like to see.
If we could, that would be delightful. And that would be the perfect repayment for what they put us through.
And by the way, even if the story doesn't make any sense for like how they're all in the same room, I mean, if they go back to the Nexus from Generation, it's fine. Whatever. It's okay. Just give me that scene. Yeah, that's my demand. The only way I forgive this is if you give me something with like all of our captains together. And I'm hoping we get something like that. But speaking of captains and next week, Nikki and I are actually happy to announce that at least the next few weeks, we'll be covering Strange New Worlds right here on the Blackcast YouTube channel. Thursdays at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. We needed to do that next week for sure, because I want to watch that, enjoy it, do our after show, and then on Friday, make myself suffer through the Picard finale. I want to have a good Star Trek day on Thursday.
A good, clean Star Trek day on Thursday. That sounds beautiful.
That's what we need. And I am, the bar is so low for Strange New Worlds. If Strange New Worlds had started 3 years ago, the bar would probably have been like, right. When was that season 2 of Discovery? That was season 2 of Discovery, wasn't it?
That was the good one. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, there've been multiple seasons since then. There's been a lot of mediocrity since then. But in any case, yeah, look, I'm excited for that show. I think that the Pike crew for the Enterprise there's always been a lot of room for exploration. There's a lot that can happen before the cage, after the cage. There's a lot of room between the cage and the menagerie, which is the 2-part TOS episode where we see the Professor Xavier version of Captain Pike.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that show. And this show has not been able, I mean, honestly, this show has only made me more excited for Strange New Worlds because I just need some good old fashioned Star Trek, and I think that's what they're going to give us.
The fact that the trailer gave us the classic Star Trek intro made me feel like, okay, they're gonna go back to basics. They're gonna go take us back to where we belong. That's what I'm hoping for. I got a little chill just saying it. Like that's
Yeah.
what I'm hoping for. That's what I think that they're doing.
Yeah. And don't you dare prove me wrong. I want to only be proven right. And
Absolutely.
you know, at the end, when Strange New Worlds ends, I don't think there's going to be live action Star Trek for a little while because season 5 of Discovery is not. I don't even know that they've started filming it, but maybe they have. I don't know that they. I think that they were pretty close to doing season 2 of Strange New Worlds. I guess Picard season 3. I think that they did them. They did season 2 and then season 3. Maybe that's the next thing, but that won't be this year. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that Prodigy and Lower Decks are going to come back, but
You're gonna have to watch the animated ones.
yeah, you mean the animated series, the 70s animated series with the original crew? I'll watch those again. Sure. Oh no, you mean
No, I mean Lower Decks. You have to watch
yeah,
Lower
no,
Decks.
lower decks I need to give a chance to. It's going to be tough for me to go back in on Prodigy. I just wasn't feeling it, but you know, we've talked about Kate Mulgrew a few times in this episode. I know that we get her voice in that. So
Yeah.
there's at least that. So that could turn into like I'm going to put Prodigy on while I check emails or, you know, that sort of, or that could be my new, actually, Picard became my folding laundry show because I needed to stay awake. And I'm like, you know, look, when you have 2 kids, there's never enough time to fold all the laundry and put it away. So, yeah, that turned into it's like Picard's like homework. Strange New Worlds is going to be fun. You know what? I might even make popcorn when I watch it. You know,
Wow.
I might treat myself. So I'm excited about that. And there will be a sense of satisfaction a week from right now when we're done talking about the second season finale of Picard, because we will never have to talk about season 2 of Picard again. Although I feel like we'll mention it
Oh,
occasionally.
we'll definitely mention it a few
Yeah.
times.
It's
Um,
it's it's the barometer for everything. I mean, it's like whole conversations on the worst of Star Trek have been skewed over the last 2 months because what anyone thought was the worst of Star Trek
they
5,
had no idea.
Star Trek 5 is so much better than this.
Yeah,
Like so much better. Insurrection, Nemesis, all of it better than this.
all of it.
Yeah, and I
Every
haven't
single
seen
one.
every episode of Voyager and every episode of Enterprise, but I feel like I should now because I'll watch it and I'll be like, don't like Neelix, don't like Kess, but they're better than Raffi. They're just better than Raffi.
I might try to check. I'm definitely going to watch the the
Series finale
the
of
series
Enterprise.
finale of Enterprise between now and next week.
Please do. Thank you.
And I might actually go back to DS9. My partner started rewatching DS9, and every time I walk in, I'm like, "Oh, I remember this
Yeah,
one."
it ended so strong, but I haven't thought about it in so long, you know? I mean, when we were doing the show for AfterBuzz, we were doing it as the show as Star Trek Weekly. So when there was, I don't think you were on at that point. I
No,
don't know if you were. Yeah. That was I think Frank Carey and I. And we would have to fill in for like the gaps between series. So we would do like, oh, we'll do like a mirror universe series. So we did like all the mirror universe DS9 episodes. So watching them sort of like jumping through, you know, there's one each season. And I was just remembering like stories around those, and I was just like, oh my god, like for years I've been like, I should really go back and rewatch that, you know.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I would love to do a rewatch on Deep Space Nine. And honestly, I need some good Jean-Luc in my life. I might have to go through like a greatest hits of TNG soon. you know.
I would be inclined to do that myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, make up a little syllabus for us,
Let's do it. All right.
and
All
we'll
right. So good. Yeah.
we'll
Then
watch.
let's make Star Trek fun again. That's what we really need. And we hope that Strange New Worlds does that. So please join us next Thursday at 2 Pacific, 5 Eastern. Sorry, Craig, I don't know what time that is for you, but it's like 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock at night. So maybe you can stay up a little late and watch that with us and join us. But and then we will also be back next Friday. This will be that's the 1 week where we're going to double dip. We'll be able to really put all of our focus on Strange New Worlds after next week. But please share your comments, especially our friend who left the 72 comments a couple weeks ago. Let us know how this show continues to let you down. I still welcome all the feedback from people who are enjoying it. But
if you are enjoying it, let us know. And in fact, if you're enjoying it, or if you're not enjoying it and you know somebody who is, have them comment so we can hear from them.
I would love to hear from them and tell us your favorite things and all of it. It's not us, but that's all right. Still love Star Trek. This show, I didn't fall out of love with Star Trek because of this show. This show in and of itself couldn't be so bad that would happen.
No,
it's too much a part of my DNA.
Absolutely.
But Nikki, I'll be very excited to talk about that. The next time we talk will be Strange New Worlds. And then the time after that will be a little bit less exciting. But again, it'll be fun because we'll be done. Oh, that rhymed.
Oh, that was good.
That was a good one. In any case, Nikki, if people want to keep in touch with you and tell you how they agree that Star Trek Picard is less enjoyable than a root canal, or if they disagree and want to tell you, like, actually, here's what I love about it. That's great. Good for you. How do they keep in touch with you?
You can find me at NikkiBaileyComedy.com or on all the social medias at NikkiBailey_.
And you can always find me at Christian DMZ. And please subscribe to the Blackcast YouTube channel, BLADTCAST. If you're enjoying Moon Knight, which I mentioned earlier, our show, Marvel Movie Talk, we're doing that basically as an after show right now. And next Wednesday will be the season/series finale of Moon Knight. So we'll have a lot to cover there. And of course, the titular Blackcast. And a couple times a month, we still do Biden time. But, there's living in that Picard life is just enough misery in my life. I don't want to focus on politics in the same week either. Maybe now that Picard's gone, we'll do we'll do Biden time more often. And on another network, Geekscape, if you find their YouTube channel, you'll be able to see the Geekscape Book Club, where we will be talking about Doctor Strange Way of the Weird to tie in with the upcoming Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. So a lot of ways to see me on your computer screen or phone. So follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Christian DMZ. And until next time, live long and prosper.